So I have it working. Sorry for being late. I was accosted by a deer. Let's see if I can actually show it to you. There's too many random settings on this thing. Okay. So that one was chasing me, which is better than having that one chase me, because that one is slightly pokier than the other one. I think they thought I had food. So, hopefully the stream is actually working, and maybe I just accidentally showed you something that I should not have in trying to flip the camera around. Sorry, normally I do this on the computer, and it wouldn't let me, for some reason the bit rate would not go over, I don't know, like 1500, which is like half the minimum requirement, despite the fact that the internet quality was perfectly good. All right, now I just have to try and fix the fact that the chat window is blocking the entire screen. There we go. Okay. So that's somewhat working, I guess. So, welcome back to Fixing with Friends, everyone. Sorry about yesterday. It was significantly warmer, but that's just not how it was going. So I guess we'll start off with what's new. It's apparently 2024. I keep forgetting that. I probably wrote on several legal documents that it was 2023, so hopefully that doesn't cause too many problems. I'm sure it happens fairly often. Okay. I've got to stop covering the camera on that side. Okay, so what did I get up to this year? Well, unusual honking, sorry about that. So I did do, I'll put the camera a little bit further away. I did work a fair bit on some projects. I got the Oldsmobile back on the road. I finished with the Mustang. So you guys will be able to decide, I guess, what you would like next content-wise, because there's a bunch of Datsun stuff still. But we've been doing that for a while, so it might be nice to change of pace. There's some random bits from other vehicles. Then there's the Oldsmobile and the Mustang. And then there's also this vehicle, which I just picked up the other day, which was a whole story. Let's flip the camera around again. So that's the teaser bit there. I don't know if that tells you what it is or not. Any guesses? Give you more of a hint. So it is some sort of a truck-like vehicle. Some of you may not know what this is. I'll explain in a moment. Oh, sorry, don't look at the Oldsmobile. You're not supposed to see that yet. So this is a Jeep J20. It is an old 3/4 ton, not super useful. It has 2 auxiliary gas tanks in the back, which is kind of cool. But I will not be using them because undoubtedly they're just filled with rust. And I'll probably pull them out. It does, though, have a plastic gas tank. The underside is a little rusty, but no giant holes. Nothing structural by the looks of it, except for this little bit underneath the fuel tank.
but that wouldn't be too bad to deal with.
And then in the cab, oh sorry, we're not under the fuel tank. This is under the cab, which I already knew about. So there is a little hole in the floor in the cab. It is four-wheel drive, so this was the cheapest four-wheel drive truck that I could find. And of course, annoyingly, it was more expensive than they had advertised it. Sorry, stop looking at the Oldsmobile. Spoilers. But yeah, so what had happened was I went up to get the truck. It was listed for $1,200, which is basically what all the other J20s were listed for. Some of them were in worse condition, and but there were more available over the summer. One I didn't manage to get before that, but once I got there, the fellow and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll buy this. And then the guy was like, so I can't remember what it was listed for. I think it was $4,000. And it's like, oh yeah, no, I dropped it down to $3,500. And I was like, it's more than double what you wrote there. And I even double checked, because I know a lot of times people will write 1, 2, 3, 4 and then write something else in the actual description, which, you know, if someone's not looking for a vehicle in that price range, they're not looking for a vehicle in that price range. For this, though, it was still the cheapest one I could find. And it was also the closest one. There's one more in worse shape out in Cranbrook, but that's quite a ways. So that's the engine. Allegedly it runs. Currently it does not. The fuel lines are not hooked up. Wiring bits are hanging around. There's no battery, obviously. And even if there was, it would not work. So here's one of the disconnected fuel lines down there. I was just going to do a live repair video, but because I can't get the camera hooked, well, I might be able to try at least with the video camera, but because I couldn't get the camera hooked up, I could not, yeah, being able to like film it properly with is just not really an option, since even if I were to have a phone mount or phone tripod, it's just too awkward to work with compared to a video camera. It's just the phone does not fit in the same spaces. So I don't know. I might try and do some work on it. I did pick up some parts so that I can theoretically get it running. I do need to pick up some fuel hose, though, if I was going to do that today, which I suppose I could pop out to do. It would only take a few minutes. So there's a vacuum reservoir that's broken. I did pick up another one of those. It's not the same as the original, but it is hopefully analogous. If you guys are commenting, I don't know. Yes. Okay, no comments. So yes, if you have any questions during the stream, feel free to let me know. But yeah, as this is a small channel, I'm not even sure a whole lot of people will even see this. So I'm not expecting too much. So don't worry, especially if you're watching this on a TV and you can't actually comment. Yeah, so I'll show you around a little bit more. Yesterday I did notice that this windshield, while filled with cracks, which I already knew needed replacing, apparently the door is a bit frozen. It's apparently a little bit leaky, this windshield, so I'm gonna have to cover it with something until I can get to it. The interior otherwise, I mean, the seats aren't too bad. There's a little tiny hole. They are fairly comfortable, though. The dash is okay. I mean, I'm going to be using this as a truck, not a show vehicle, so I don't care so much. But you can see, yeah, another little hole in the floor. Shouldn't be too bad to do because the rest of the floor is sturdy enough that I could stomp on it and not have my foot go through. I did tape over it just to cover it, but I'm wondering if it was the smashed windshield that caused the rust. I'll probably have to pull the dash out to check the wiring, because when there's this much moisture, that's probably an issue. I don't know why you've bothered with the steering wheel cover. Those are just the devil. Not actually, but they are annoying. One more thing to slide around and perhaps get you into an accident. I kind of like that. That's about the same diameter as the one for the Oldsmobile. It's not one of the really giant, massive, thick ones that are unnecessary. Okay. Well, this is going to take some doing. So, I think someone tried to haul it out of a ditch or something using the tailgate. Or, no, never mind. This is definitely something where they had it down and they backed into something. I'm going to try and repair this. I haven't decided whether or not it's better to cut and then fold and pull it at the same time, because it doesn't quite line up on this side because of that. So maybe clamp it and pull at the same time. Maybe I can get that to work, tie it off to a tree or something. But I feel like I'm going to have to cut it to do that, because it is decently thick metal. It does at least open and close. This they yanked on and ripped off. But, I mean, wasn't the most amazing bumper anyway. And I would like to throw a hitch on it at some point. Longer term, I will be, I think, boxing the frame. So, putting a little piece of sheet metal, same gauge as this, in between, tidying up the rust, and then welding it together. It should increase the strength and rigidity. Probably doing the same on some of the cross bars, I don't know what you call it, but cross members, that's the word I was looking for. Otherwise, as far as the axle ratio and things like that, I don't know. I will have to look into that a bit more. It does have lifted springs. That wasn't immediately apparent. These older trucks were quite high. But that's definitely not the stock height of it. But yeah, there's a fair bit to do. Luckily, there's not an entirely huge amount of wiring on the car. So, we'll see. Or truck. The deer are still sort of hanging around in the background there. So, yeah, this is probably going to be a little quick. If you want, I can pull some of the stuff apart on this, like the fuel pump out, get that ready. It is a mechanical fuel pump, for those of you who aren't familiar. I'm sure most of you are, though. They usually have lower PSI but higher flow rates, and it pulls like it's mechanical, so it pulls from the engine all the way from the fuel tank, which can cause some problems. But I looked into replacing it with an electronic fuel pump. I don't think it's worthwhile at this stage until I can ascertain whether or not the engine actually runs, or if it's just a lump of garbage. And then I can tell you about what my thoughts are on dealing with that if that's the case. The original plan was to pick up another one of these trucks and piece together just one working one out of all the components to minimize the amount of effort, but The other one, I don't know if it's in good enough shape for that to be worthwhile. So I'm going to wait and see if another one pops up, then maybe grab that. Otherwise, in the meantime, just work on this one to get it going, I think, because this one will be a decent base, I think. There's some little sort of aesthetic holes in the fender. This is probably the biggest bit right here. So some welding, but considering what was done to the Oldsmobile, this is all fairly simple, at least. Like, these are flat pieces with one bend. It's a bit of a dent I can pop out. And then back here, down there. Yeah, they were nice enough to leave some garbage in the truck. I did empty out about half of it. You can see the space. Yeah, not a whole lot to that. Yeah, the tailgate, I at least appreciate you can open it and close it. If you are vigorous with it. But yeah, it's not latching on this side. You can actually see, so this little tongue should be inside that little box. So yeah, that'll take some cranking. Bulging out a little bit there. But yeah, the biggest expense is probably going to be the windshield and the battery so far, assuming nothing's wrong with the engine. I will obviously need to replace that air filter. Like I said, these fuel lines are kind of all over the place. Fuel filter. Throttle. So there's definitely a lot of work to be done, but it so far seems very doable. I'm going to, because it is -3 right now, I'm debating whether or not to just kind of pack it in, but I think I'm going to grab some tools and at least pull out the fuel pump down there. So I'm going to grab the camera, set that up so that even though you guys can't see fantastically well, you will at least be able to watch it later. So I'm going to try and balance you here. I'll be right back. Does there have to be deer poop everywhere? Just a sec. Grab some of the tools. So what size do you figure that nut is? Is it a bolt? It's a bolt. It should all be metric on this year. It should be at 1981, but there was some confusion. I did run the VIN though, and it said 1981. I'm thinking either 14 or 15 millimeter. No dying. You have to stay upright.
setting up the camera here. See if I can tuck it down in the all right. Shove the whole tripod down there. All right. Definitely cannot see what I wanted to. Okay. Yeah, this is why I cut this part out in all of the videos. Actually, where you are is probably ideal for the camera. If I can balance it here, it's not too bad. I'm gonna throw it back on the tripod. Sorry, I know, not super interesting, all the annoying camera work. Oh, if I didn't mention already, this is the 5.9 liter V8 as opposed to the 6.3, I think is the other one. So it's not a small V8, and given the age, it certainly will use a massive amount of fuel. But we'll try to do something about that at least. All right, well, I guess that's the best camera angle I'm getting. So what do you think? Is it 14 millimeter or 15? Oh, first guess was right. That's nice at least. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You have to find out yourself. I'm just kidding. It's a bit unpleasant doing this in the below water freezing temperature. I think I'll have to do this from underneath so that you guys can see. Smaller socket extension. I love that the deer chose today to leave a whole bunch of fresh droppings right where I need to lie down. Such speed. Little bits of who knows what falling in my mouth. I think that's grass. I hope. So far I'm noticing like every bolt on this truck is the same size. That's at least how it appears so far. There we go. Look at that. It's a little bit absurd for a fuel pump. Okay, do you think I can find the other one without looking? I have doubts. All right, we'll try. Oh, you guys can't even see. Oh, yeah, you can. There you go.
It's a little bit better there. Now I have to move the camera. Without hopefully breaking my phone and having it fall into the engine. Sorry, this was why I was trying to do it using the camera and the laptop. Okay. So, I may have to pull that out with a wrench because the socket doesn't quite line up. Try with a line socket extension. I cannot move my fingers. There we go. Throw the gloves back on. Isn't this exciting? Watching it live? Real-time repairs? To get those artistic shots, you have to do a lot of camera moving. And if you just leave it running, you waste a massive amount of film. Okay. Hold on, sorry. Trying to move the other camera. Why am I recording? There we go. Probably should have removed the hose first, but I don't really feel like it. Give me the socket. Well, I'm going to have to set the other camera down.
and use both hands there. Well, I guess that's closer to removing the socket. Okay, so I'll grab some pliers so that I can pull off the hose in there. Again, should have done that first. Wasn't really paying attention or caring. I don't think it'll matter too much though. It's a pretty small hose. Worst case, I snap it and I just get more hose when I buy some. Trying to see where I can tuck you in. No, that would just make it upside down. Well, I'll rest you on the glove. Now stay there, please. Don't fall 4 feet down. I always have to pick the awkwardest angles to do this from. Underneath it is. I see that. You know what? No, I can't just do that with fingertips. Okay, I'm gonna have to hold you in one hand and try and do it with the other because you're just in the way. So much easier. It's almost like I should have done that the first time. Okay, well, the buck hasn't decided it wants to ram me while I'm facing the other direction, so that's always nice. I'll set you back down over here. Try and remove that hose. And there's a lot of putting gloves on and off. Stay there, phone. Stay. Okay. Well, good news is I've already at least managed to loosen the hose, but pulling it off may be another story. Normally you don't want to do it when it's cold, but is what I am doing. I'm gonna grab a flathead. So, how did your guys' Christmases go? Nice? Did you visit your families? Did you rob any banks? Didn't hear about any bank robberies, but you never know. Well, I think I'll yank it from underneath.
Use the other camera to prop you guys up. Not quite. Can you see where my hand is? Because I can't see the camera. All right. Maybe I should prop the flathead down. There we go. Now, I'm not sure if the fuel pump actually needed replacing, but that's what I was told. I have doubts, but I'll be able to pull it apart and check. I really don't think you can see it. How's that? Oh. At the very least, you can kind of see me. Least important thing here. Should just get a hook. I don't feel like it. Don't put the gloves in the deer poop. I don't know if that's better or worse. Maybe I'll try something else entirely there. Stop sliding. Of course, it rained a few days ago, so everything is covered in ice. Okay, let's take this watch off for a second. It's one of those times when if you weren't so budget conscious, you would just cut the hose off and replace it because the time is not worth the hose. Like at a shop, definitely just cut that hose off. Don't rip the steering line. Have I made any progress at all? No. No, I have not. If you're all commenting profusely, just cut it. I can't because I can't see you, so I'm assuming you haven't said that.
And this is why I cut this part out of the videos. So tedious and annoying. Can I at least have my socket back? Please? I'm gonna have to get that after. Oh, maybe. There we go. It's one thing at least. Pull the other bolt out. Note to self, wipe everything off before you try to take it apart. This thing is a little dirty. Okay. Probably should grab the smaller one so I can just kind of slip it in and all right, I'm putting this glove back on. Holding on to a frozen fuel pump is apparently not very pleasant. What do you think? Just cut it? I think I'm going to have to resign myself to that anyway. Given how much the tube costs, I think it's another $4, almost $5 a foot. So deciding to cut it now will cost me at minimum about $2.50, which isn't bad, but then otherwise I'd probably have to get a whole foot just for a little bit of convenience. Cut it? What do you think? Let's see what you guys say. Okay. All right. Well, because this isn't very entertaining for you guys, I'll probably end it here. I'm losing the ability to move my fingers. I'll continue getting this off, but it's already been about 40 minutes, and I'm sure I'm just boring you all to death. So, come on, camera. There we go. Why has it changed filters on there? Ooh, so many weird features that I don't care about at all. There. So, see the deer poop I was talking about? Thank you for watching. See you guys next time.